We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of There Can Only Be One, the podcast that puts together the all-star best of playlists of your favorite bands and artists, and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now, in my little home office, I have a whiteboard, and on that whiteboard are ideas. They are future episodes. They are basically a wish list of episodes that I wanted to do. And this is definitely one of them, because for a stretch and for the time that they were together, Sixx A.M. was one of my favorite bands. And here to join me down this road, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. And all I have to say is, remember when we saw them live?
Which time?
And, well, true, with Papa Roach.
Yes.
And I looked behind me. When Jay and I go to concerts, we always stand at the soundboard.
Because that is where the best sound is. First of all, dear concert goers, I'm not saying don't go to the pit. I'm not saying don't rush up to the stage. But if you want the best sound, and if you're old as F and your knees are bad, like mine, you find the soundboard and you literally park yourself right in front of it, because that is where the best sound is, because that is the guy who's mixing for the arena. Stand there, best sound. But go on.
Okay, so I look over my shoulder at the soundboard and I'm like, holy that's DJ Ashba.
Yeah.
And doesn't he make eye contact with me and come over and pose for a picture?
Yeah, he was super cool.
Sweetheart. He is so nice. Like, literally, I know there were other members. I think Nikki Sixx was standing with his entourage, his girl on his arm. Like, there was no picture posing. It was just kind of like maybe a little selfie over the shoulder. And I'm like, hey, look, who's standing behind me? But DJ Ashba made a point of like navigating all of the cables at the back of the soundboard and coming over and posing for a picture. And oh my God, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, I love him for doing that. Thank you.
I don't remember seeing Nikki Sixx back there. DJ Ashba was definitely there. And I remember their backup singer, Melissa Harding, was also there. That was a phenomenal tour. Like, think about it, right? Sixx A.M., Papa Roach, and Five Finger Death Punch. And I can't remember who the opening act was. But
was it the Beaches?
No, it wasn't. No, they were opening for Foo Fighters when we saw them at Rogers Center.
Okay.
So we may have seen a few shows, like it may be our thing, but no, and there was this, and then there was the time when they headlined and we caught them at the Phoenix, and they had Apocalyptica opening up for them. That was super cool.
Oh, that was a good one too.
That was a good show. Yes. So here's what we are going to do. We're about to go through the 5-album studio discography of Sixx A.M., which is Nikki Sixx, DJ Ashba, and James Michael. We are not covering any compilations or live albums, so we're not doing the Live is Beautiful EP. We're not doing the 7 EP, which is acoustic versions of some of the songs, and we're not doing their Hits Greatest Collection. So a song like the first 21, which only appeared on Hits, is out of the equation. Also, should be noted that our good friend Brian Colburn over at My Weekly Mixtape, and by the way, if you're not following My Weekly Mixtape, go follow, go listen. He's got a phenomenal show. He dropped his picks as well, so we're going to be shouting him out throughout the show. And we're going to start with August 21st, 2007, and the release of the Heroin Diary soundtrack, based on Nikki Sixx's autobiography. The album peaked at number 26 in the US. There were 4 singles off of this one. Life is Beautiful peaked the highest, hitting number 2 on the U.S. mainstream rock charts, which coincidentally is also Brian Colburn's pick. So off of the Heroin Diary soundtrack, what did you go with?
Without a doubt, Accidents Can Happen is my absolute favorite song. And I love that it's so relatable in any given situation in life. It doesn't necessarily have to reflect, a heroin addiction. Most recently, I might have a thing with purses. I might love my shiny, pretty things. And when I see a purse with shiny, pretty bling on it, I might maybe buy it. And then as soon as I hit complete order, I might start to question, did I really need that purse?
Yeah, my wife is in a long-term affair with Michael Kors at this point, so.
Yeah. Just call me Carrie Kors. What? No.
Yeah.
Right. So
I know my place. I get it. I'm Mr. Weekend, apparently.
The buyer and the bringer of Michael Kors. But you know what? And it was just ironic that as soon as I had bought this purse that I didn't need, which I'm still waiting for it to be delivered, and I get to hold the purse and see the person in person.
See, how do I compete with that? How do I compete with that kind of, exuberance and joy?
Okay, I like my purses. I like my shiny things. But
she
that's
likes
also,
big purses and she cannot lie.
It's also my self-admitted addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? When I was given this task to listen through the CDs, I really drove back to this one and I'm like, you know what? It's okay. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Accidents happen. You ordered another purse. It'll sit on your shelf. But that's okay because it'll make you smile when you look over and see it.
No, in all seriousness, this song, I'm guarantee you this song is probably a healing song for a lot of people. Like there is a really positive message in this, and that, yeah, stumbles are going to happen on your way to recovery from anything, including a purse addiction or my self-admitted book addiction as I sit in front of my multiple bookshelves and I got nothing. I want to read a quote from Jim Cass of IGN when he was reviewing this album. He said, "It's not really an album, but rather a musical book, and it's almost impossible to recommend any specific songs over others." I say that knowing that this album provided some agony for me because there were so many good songs on here. And it really, every now and then you get like a knockdown, drag out fight between two songs to be the pick. And this was it for me. Pray for Me really, really wanted to be that pick. And it was fighting. It was fighting really hard. And this is going to be one of those albums where it's like really dependent on the mood, right? If I'm up and I want a rocker, Pray for Me will probably end up being my pick. But accidents can happen. You're right. This is probably the best overall song on the album. And the funny thing is, when you take a look at the singles off of this album, Life is Beautiful, we talked about. Pray for Me, I talked about. Tomorrow, It's Okay, Accidents Can Happen was the fourth and final single off of this album.
I have a fifth.
Oh?
I have a fifth. I actually wrote down, and I'm not going to lie that even though I've seen them live twice, I've never done a really deep dive of all of the songs, the entire discography. And I wrote down Heart Failure.
Oh.
Isn't it great?
Mm-hmm.
Like vocally, the way the vocals just match the beat to the music, and it's just almost kind of done staccato like. It literally, it was my backup pick. But again, accidents can happen. Again, it just tells a story in such a positive reflection that, and again, it can be relatable to anything, any form of addiction, any form of feeling low about yourself. I mean, not even addiction, making mistakes in life.
Yeah.
And realizing that, you know what, there's always a tomorrow and there's always a new day, a new chance. A pencil has an eraser for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. I also had Courtesy Call Girl with Golden Eyes, and Dead Man's Ballet.
Ooh, Girl with Golden Eyes
Yeah.
and Dead Man's Ballet. You know what? Listen to the entire album because really there's not a bad song.
I mean, here's the thing. With Dead Man's Ballet, and if I were to tell you that a founding member of Motley Crue is going to put out an album and there's going to be hints of Queen in it, Dead Man's Ballet definitely proves that. And you're sitting there going, I can't quite put Queen and Motley Crue in the same boat. Don't. This is not a Motley Crue album. This is not a Motley Crue band. I'm going to say something very, very potentially controversial, but hear me out here. And I recognize the influence that Motley Crue has had on the world of music and especially on the hard rock genre. I think Sixx A.M. was a better songwriting unit than Motley Crue. And certainly anything post Dr. Feelgood pales in comparison to everything Sixx A.M. did.
Ooh. I mean,
Saints of Los Angeles was a good album. Don't get me wrong. I liked that album. But there were a number of Motley Crue albums that just were not up to par to an album like Girls, 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 or Shout at the Devil, or Dr. Feelgood. So really, if you like melodic rock, and that's probably the best thing I can say. This is like a melodic arena rock is the best way I can put this.
I think you also have to look at the time. When Motley Crue came out and they were hot, it was the time of heavy metal
Debauchery.
Making what? No.
Motley Crue? Debauchery? Hells yes.
It was a time, though, when heavy metal was the thing, right? People were following like Skid Row, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Poison.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the absolute peak of metal.
Yeah.
And then
in the 80s, hells yes.
Yeah, but then 2007, you've got, new metal coming out. You've got like the whole grunge era coming up.
Well, grunge was, early 90s. So you've got post grunge, you've got new metal, you have so much more different variety of things that are coming out. You have, satellite radio that's catering to it all. Like 2007, and the nice thing too is that because of Crewfest and Sixx A.M. taking one of the early spots on Crewfest in 2007, it introduced them to a much wider audience, and it became a little bit more than just a little one-off side project.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end,
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Because there were albums afterwards, including This Is Gonna Hurt, released May 3rd, 2011. The album peaked at number 10 in the US and hit number 1 on the Billboard Top US Hard Rock Album charts. There were 3 singles off of this one. Lies of the Beautiful People hit number 1 on the US mainstream rock charts, which of course is Brian's pick as well. So off of their second album, This Is Gonna Hurt, what's your pick?
I think it's aptly titled because to choose a song off of this album, it really does hurt. It's a front to back. I just have to say, Jay, you make me smile.
It's funny.
Which is a song, but that's not my pick.
This is this is one of the, like, I was going to say that this whole album is shortlisted for me. Smile, not so much.
It's a lovely song, though.
If I would
like it,
if I were being honest with you, if we were doing this album for a spin, shuffle, skip, Smile would probably be my skip.
It's not my pick, though.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say that you make me smile.
Well, yes.
On that note.
I try.
I mean, I could have said Deadlyhood.
Well.
But.
I make you smile when you find the Michael Kors.
Also, Deadlyhood, great song, not my pick. However, then we get to Skin. And this song, without a doubt, is incredibly beautiful. It has such an incredibly positive message of inner beauty. And it's no contest. As great as the album was, and that was the point I was trying to make, is This Is Gonna Hurt is a front to back listen. But I find that at the end, when all the songs are done, I double back to Skin, just because melodically it's incredibly beautiful. And the message behind it also.
I have a feeling as we go forward, I'm going to start to see a trend in that songs that you pick are probably going to be more for the messaging and the lyrics, and songs that I go with are probably going to be more for the hooks and the riffs.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see. We do not match up on this album, though. Skin, again, a good song, but not even on my short list. My short list, I mean, I thought this album was going to be easy for me. I thought it was going to be like, all right, just sit down. Are you with me now? Boom, there we go. But then I had that re-listen. And I'm like, Are You With Me Now? It's still a good song. It's definitely on the short list. But there are others. And this album is freaking phenomenal all the way through. On my short list Are You With Me Now? This Is Gonna Hurt, and Goodbye My Friends. But Live Forever, this song, holy crap. I will admit, I'm a sucker for a good pre-chorus, and this song has that. This is literally great vibe, great riff. The pre-chorus is phenomenal, and probably the best part of the song too. Like, Live Forever, and I guarantee you there's going to be days when I listen to this album and like, oh, maybe it's this song, or maybe it's this song. There really isn't a wrong pick on this album. But as I was doing my research for this, again, Live Forever really stood out more so than the song I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be Are You With Me Now? I was like, I had it in my mind. I was just going to take a look at the track list and go, boom, there you go.
That was exactly the same with Skin. I literally looked at all the songs and I'm like, I wrote it down. There's no contest. Skin is going to be the pick. And I still stand by that. However, listening through, again, I was like, oh, that's a great song. No, but it doesn't beat Skin. This is a great song. Deadly Hood, fantastic song. Love it. But it doesn't top Skin. So.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Modern Vintage, released October 7th, 2014. Peaked at number 20 in the US and number 1 on the Billboard Hard Rock Albums charts. There were 3 singles off of this one. Stars peaked the highest in the US, hitting number 6 on the US mainstream rock charts. Gotta Get It Right actually hit number 8 on the Czech rock charts. Our good friend Brian Colburn, I should have seen this one coming, because he ended up going with the cover of the Cars song Drive, and the Cars being one of his favorite bands of all time. Not surprised. So off of Modern Vintage, what did you go with?
I went with Let's Go. It is such a hype song. It's so much fun. Now also, High on the Music is a fun song. And to see it live with that call and answer, that whoa, whoa, like, it was so good.
Let's Go is on my short list. A, because it's a phenomenal song, but B, dear listeners, let me tell a story. So when we're driving in the car with our kids, we like to play a lot of music, and our youngest really gravitates towards the music that we listen to the point of when this album came out, I played it a lot because it's a freaking awesome album. He didn't know what the song was called, but he knew he liked it. So anytime we'd get in the car, he'd be like, hey, can you play the Hey song? And this is the Hey song. Let's Go is the Hey song for him.
Oh, that's adorable. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
how do I not know this story?
Because you weren't in the car at the time. No, seriously, he listened to this song. This was the Hey song to him. That's how he asked for it. Can you play the Hey song? I also had Stars on my short list because the guitar tone and the intro in that, it's a phenomenal song. But Relief Again, sucker for a pre-chorus. Sucker for a pre-chorus. But DJ Ashba, can we talk about him for a second here? The songwriting is all good. James Michael's vocals are awesome. Nikki Sixx, always good as a songwriter. Freaking DJ Ashba.
Such a nice guy.
For 5 studio albums, served us a guitar solo buffet every time out. I don't think DJ Ashba gets the cred that he should have for the blistering guitar work that he put on every single disc. Like, he served us platters of tasty licks. And, like, just kudos for those songs. DJ Ashba really, to me, might actually be the shining star of this trio. More so than Nikki Sixx, more so than James Michael. DJ Ashba served.
Vocally, though.
Oh, vocally. I'm not saying James Knight.
So good.
Oh, he is so good. And funny thing, if the time ever comes when we do a hailstorm, I guarantee you I know exactly which song I'm picking off one of their discs. James Michael does the duet on it, but we're going to have to get a hailstorm episode in for me to reveal the rest of that.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board. Put it on the whiteboard. But yes, Relief is definitely my pick. It has everything I like in a Sixx A.M. song. When I say we got served a double platter in 2016 because they had 2 albums out that year. The first was Prayers for the Damned Volume 1, released April 29th, 2016. It peaked at number 19 in the US and also hit number 9 in Australia and number 12 in Canada and number 2 on the Billboard Top US Hard Rock Album charts. There were 2 singles off of this one. Rise peaked the highest at number 3 on the US mainstream rock charts. That is Brian's pick. For you, off of Prayers for the Damned, what'd you go with?
I have to double back. What was the other release?
The other single was Prayers for the Damned off of this one.
Okay. I was just checking to see if one of the choices I made was listed. You know, I got to admit, the title of the song caught my attention. And I was like, oh, tell me they did a cover. And not a cover, but holy wow, did it pack a punch. And that is Belly of the Beast. Damn. That was such a great song. It was such a great song. It was a little bit of a disappointment because I was hoping that they would go into a cover of Anthrax, but still good nonetheless.
that little trill riff that DJ Ashba does during the verses, that's a little bit of like musical special sauce sprinkled in there. That's not just the garnish, that's some gravy on that song. Like that added so much character to that song. Not on my short list, however. My short list consisted of really one song, and that was You Have Come to the Right Place, which I'm surprised that wasn't released as a single. I get that when you release 2 albums in a short span of time, you only have a small window to release singles off of the first disc. So putting 2 singles out in that time kind of makes sense. You Have Come to the Right Place definitely deserved to be a single. So I have a feeling that if Prayers for the Blessed came out maybe a year later or 2 years later, You Have Come to the Right Place probably would have been the natural 3rd single off of this. It's phenomenal. But I'm going to go with the title track off of this one, Prayers for the Damned. This song has almost a very cinematic feel to it. And when you listen to this album, and this is something that Sixx A.M. does very well, they paint musical pictures. Like, you can listen to their albums, close your eyes, and almost every time picture the movie that it would fit into. This whole album has a very darker cinematic feel to it, and I freaking love it. But this one, and again, DJ Ashba, freaking solid gold on the solo on this. Like, oh my God. Like that's a chill solo.
I completely agree. I mean, listening through the album, I kind of had that concept album feeling. I really, I noticed that the songs told a story. And also, Everything Went to Hell was such a heavy song as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that one caught my attention. That was shortlisted. So, but again, musically, the entire album just fits to play from top to bottom.
We hit the end of our 5-album run with Prayers for the Blessed Volume 2, released November 18th, 2016. The album peaked at number 37 in the US and number 23 in Australia. There was one single off of this one, We Will Not Go Quietly, hit number 13 on the US mainstream rock charts and number 3 on the Czech rock charts. Brian Colburn went with We Will Not Go Quietly, as did I. This song, whew. Let's talk about the video for a second too, because the video was done on that tour that we talked about earlier when they toured with Papa Roach and Five Finger Death Punch. I'm a sucker for a good camera work too. And DJ Ashba had like one of those GoPros right on the headstock of his guitar. Like, love that. Freaking love it. But that tour, like, they were slaying on that tour. It was so good. So yes, it made sense to capture that moment, in the arena. But We Will Not Go Quietly. There's a lot of different aspects of 6 a.m. that make the perfect 6 a.m. song for me. And this really had a lot of it. Even like the little breakdown in the middle, like they fired on all cylinders off of this. But off of Prayers for the Blessed, Volume 2, what did you go with?
Well, I know you're going to want to record this and play it over and over again. I agree with you. I feel like you're right.
Yes.
However.
Don't stop right there.
Nope. You know what? I wrote it down, but agreeing with you and noting that I do agree, I am going to now give props to Wolf at Your Door. I really liked that song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought, you know what? I had two choices, one being We Will Not Go Quietly, and I do have to at least honor Wolf at Your Door being, it's just a really solidly great song. Now, you had mentioned DJ Ashba and his just magical guitar licks.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote a negative on this album, and that is from Catacombs. The guitar solo, just like, I think it made my ears bleed. It was just like, no, it was too much guitar, if there's such a thing. So, going with Wolf at Your Door, giving a thumbs down to Catacombs, and agreeing with you on We Will Not Go Quietly. So I'm kind of all over the place on this album.
I want to give a shout out on this album to another cover song, Without You. This is their cover of the Badfinger song. And I remember like actually letting my mother hear it because I recognize the song. It's a classic, right? And she's like, that's a really good version of this. I think this is actually, of the two cover songs that they released between this and Drive, this is probably the better cover song. But I now get to say that because there are other versions of this. Obviously, there's the original Badfinger. Harry Nilsson came up with one. Mariah Carey did a version in 1994. So I wonder if there's people out there who said that they cover Mariah Carey. Well, Mariah Carey's version was a cover too, but it's a strong song. And I think it actually played well into what 6 a.m. can do.
I agree. I actually, as I was listening to it, I'm like, I've heard this song before.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if it was the Badfinger or the Mariah Carey.
I mean, there are other versions out there as well. So it's probably the Mariah Carey version that you know, but it's a good song. It's a solid song. You're probably thinking the Air Supply version, which came out in 1991 and was a big single for them.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are people who sit there and say, yeah, 6 a.m. covered Mariah Carey. That's not cool. I'm sorry. If 6 a.m. wanted to cover Mariah Carey, it would be cool because it's freaking 6 a.m.
It would rock. I want to hear Someday.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The Air Supply version is the one I know the best because that's the one I know for a fact I've heard the Air Supply version. But I just find it funny that you can take a song that's written by, someone decades and decades ago that has been done and done again, and then put it into this mix and it takes on brand new life. That is how you know that a song is good, when it can cross over genres and still work.
We've got to do a covers edition.
You do realize that if we were ever to do anything like that, we would have to call Brian Colburn because he is the cover king.
I'm throwing the gauntlet down. Let's do that.
Well,
get Brian on the phone. Let's make it happen.
You know what?
Hi, Brian.
Here's what we need to do. And Brian, if you're listening, we're throwing the gauntlet down now. One of these days, we're going to do an episode of There Can Only Be One on the Pop Goes Punk collection. Yes. We'll go through all the CDs and pick only one. And right now, Brian is sitting there going, damn it, that's brilliant. But yes.
See, that's not fair because of the coverage of Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time, because Jack Black also covered it.
Yeah, but it's not on those discs.
Okay. Fair. We have to lighten the load somewhere here. But that would be a phenomenal episode to do. And I can hear Brian already going through the track listings mentally right now. We may have called him out, but that's okay. So much fun. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. So Brian, expect a call at some point.
Manifest this into reality.
Exactly. All right. So now we have come to the end of this short run for Sixx A.M. So Carrie, please remind our listeners what your picks are from this 5-album run, and if there can only be one Sixx A.M. song, what's it going to be?
Without a doubt, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, from the Heroin Diaries, Accidents Can Happen. This Is Gonna Hurt, I chose Skin. Modern Vintage, I had to go with formerly known as the Hey song, Let's Go. And from Prayers from the Damned, I chose Belly of the Beast. And from Prayers for the Blessed, I went with Wolf at Your Door, only to be tricky and not agree with you completely.
I get it. But if there could only be one.
Oh, Skin. Without a doubt. Only one.
I can see that. For you. Okay, for me, off of the Heroin Diaries soundtrack, I went with Accidents Can Happen. Off of This Is Gonna Hurt, I went with Live Forever. Off of Modern Vintage, I went with Relief. From Prayers for the Damned Volume 1, I went with Prayers for the Damned. And from Prayers for the Blessed Volume 2, I went with We Will Not Go Quietly. And this is going to hurt because this is a ridiculously tough choice. And it's a toss-up between two songs right now. It's between Relief and it's between We Will Not Go Quietly.
Ooh.
But I think if you were to put a gun to my head right now, please don't.
Which I'm not happening.
I think I need to go with Relief. Not only...
Ooh, I did not see that coming.
Not only is it a phenomenal song, not only is it one of the best DJ Ashba solos during this 5-album run, not only is it off one of my favorite albums from their run, it's a blistering song. It is so good. Now, ask me tomorrow, and I'll probably have the same mental struggle, and it'll probably be one of the other 4 songs. But today, as we record this, I say my only one is Relief.
Ooh. You're not going to have regrets? Second chance?
I am going to have regrets the minute I hit stop. Because
are we re-recording this?
This has been tough. This has been a really, really tough go. Because really, for a 5-album run, it has been arguably all killer, no filler for all 5 albums. Like, there have been some tough choices made in this stretch.
There's so much good.
Yeah.
On all of the 5.
Yeah. Now, CDs. I mean, the band has kind of come out and said that they're kind of on hiatus at this point. Like, there probably isn't a future Sixx A.M. album. Never say never, of course. I wish there was. I get Motley Crue. They got John 5 now, back out on the road. firing on all cylinders again. I miss Sixx A.M. I miss the songwriting. I miss the guitar work. I miss everything about that run. So, you know, is this me sitting here begging for one more disc? Maybe. Yes, definitely. But it is what it is. And I'm happy we have the 5 discs that we got. Carrie, thank you so much for this episode. And to you, our listeners, you guys know the drill. If there's an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, check out our Coming Soon page, where you can see the episodes that we are preparing, from the whiteboard to the internet to your voice. Chime in and we will shout you out throughout the show. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay, you guys are awesome. This is There Can Only Be One, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.